So thank you so much for doing this, Deanna. I was hoping you could tell us a little about yourself.
Yes, well, first of all, thank you for having me. So my name is Deanna Krier. I'm the current Miss Achievement North America, and I've been an entrepreneur for 43 years. I started my own company when I was 19 years old, Mercer Events and Promotions. And I did that all over Texas, created events, marketed people and personalities, and I had the time of my life doing that. But I wanted to settle down, so I got married to my husband, Brian, whose family owned the Baker's Ribs barbecue chain. And so we're restaurateurs now. We moved to a small town in Weatherford to start a family, and we're restaurant owners for 24 years. So we wanted to start a family, and we got that through adoption. I was 41 years old when I adopted my daughter, Hannah, and she was a brand new baby, and we brought her into the house, and that was really exciting. But when she was 16, she went to an open call for National American Miss, and she won, the open call and got to go to state. She did really well in state. She won third place in talent, and she did so many other things and photogenic and things like that. And then she went to nationals in LA. So we spent like 9 days in LA, and we had the time of our life. She won fourth runner up in academic achievement out of 80 women. So we were so proud of her. Well, then 2020 hit, and it was the pandemic, and things changed, and she really didn't want to do that anymore. And she goes, "Mom, I think this is for you. You need to do it." So that's how I ran across being in a pageant. I heard Diana Lawrence on a podcast with Ashley Darby. Ashley Darby has Win a Pageant Academy. So I heard Diana, and I thought, I'm just going to take a chance, and I'm going to call her and ask her. And that's how it all began.
That's amazing. So you were inspired by your daughter.
Yes, if it hadn't been for Hannah, I would have never gotten into pageants, because this has been a childhood dream since I was like 7. And I'd be watching Miss America or Miss USA and Miss Universe on television with my mom. And I'd be a little girl just dreaming, like, God, could I ever be that? But no, I didn't know how. I lived in a very small town of 500 people in Nebraska. There was nothing there except the farmland. And while that was wonderful, if you're an artist like myself, that could be kind of boring. So moving to Dallas, and then, having a baby, and then her teaching me how to do this has just been the biggest blessing of all. And right now she's my #1 cheerleader next to my husband.
That's great. And I see your title is Miss Achievement or Ms. Achievement North
Miss
America.
Achievement, yes, because I was Miss Achievement Texas,
Mm-hmm.
and then I won first runner up to become Miss Achievement North America. And then I won Miss North America again because I was first runner up again. But I also won many awards like Miss Congeniality, or, community involvement, just all kinds of fun awards. And this has just made me do better at my job. It's made me I've always been involved in my community, but doing this has made me want to take care of myself better, present myself better, learn to public speak, learn to be technology smart, making videos and submitting them to Diana for this pageant. It's been a challenge, but it's been a joy because I get to work with my husband and my daughter and my brother, who's a fashion photographer. So he does all my photos. It's just been a blessing because it's a family affair.
So it sounds like the pageant has, or the pageants have taught you a great deal, and
Yes,
you've really grown as a result.
I believe so. I believe I've always been outgoing. I've always been, a leader, but never with this kind of passion and excitement. Like, I feel like I am Miss America. It's like I feel like I'm achieving a childhood dream. And now I've gotten chosen to go to New York City. I've been chosen by Mark DeFang. He's a pageant dress designer and a pageant shoe designer. And I'm the eldest woman, because I'm 63, to be in his show ever. So I'm making history, just like our Queen Lily, Miss Achievement World, is making history by going into the Miss Universe pageant in Canada. We're history makers.
It's amazing. No glass ceilings here because we're shattering them, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so those are some of the really cool, fun things about pageants, not to mention the crown. Everybody wants to look at the crown, right?
Yes, yes.
And they're really pretty. there are other aspects of pageants, such as the platform. Can you tell us about yours?
Yes, well, my platform is prosper your neighbor, prospers yourself. It's something I came up with because I learned at a very young age, like at age 12, how important our neighbors are to us. My mom and dad couldn't afford a 10-speed bike, and I wanted one so bad. And I had to figure out, how do I get it myself? And so I just knocked on neighbors' doors and asked them if I could do anything for them or how could they help me. And every neighbor came through and helped me. Within 3 months, I had that 10-speed bike. So I understand that prospering your neighbor will prosper yourself. It comes back, it's biblical, really. Love thy neighbor as thyself. But I also learned in this journey that when you love yourself, it doesn't mean like love yourself and keep everything for yourself. What it means is love yourself enough to take good care of yourself and eat right and exercise and laugh and have friends, because that taking care of yourself will generate the ability to prosper your neighbor. So I really want people to understand that the secret to longevity and prosperity is by caring about other people first. And I started that when I was 19 in Dallas with my company. I connected a lot of diverse people together to make something even more spectacular, the event better, or the TV show more exciting. I mixed diverse cultures. And that was back in the 80s, where it wasn't as popular as diversity is today.
So
So
that's
go
a
ahead. I was
great
going to say
achievement. Hmm.
it, well, yeah, it's all God. And I have a strong faith. And I just believe that this is his calling on my life. I've always done this. And we moved to Weatherford. We did not know one person, not one. We just moved here. We bought a building. We put Baker's Ribs logo on there. We started cooking our food. And I had to get to know people really fast because I had to join chambers. I joined the Lions Club, the Rotary Club. I didn't have any children at the time because my stepdaughter didn't live with us. So Brian had a daughter, but she didn't live with us. So it wasn't like I was a full-time mom ever. So I had to get out in the community. And then I realized that people didn't like us so much because we were from Dallas, and they called us New York barbecue because we were from Dallas. So we kind of got bullied. So then I had to create events inside the restaurant and give back. So the very first one was for the United Way of Parker County. And then it was for the animal shelter. And I joined up with the Republican Women's Group, and they helped raise $33,000 for the animal shelter. And then the next time I would, work with maybe the Democratic Party, or maybe just another group of people. Maybe it's the Rotary, maybe it's the Lions Club, maybe it's the Senior Center. And for 24 years, I posted events in that restaurant. And that's how we got, I guess what you could say, staying open for 24 years. It's really by being involved in the community. It's not just about how good your food is, which I think our food is fantastic, but it's not just about that.
Right. So I'm really hearing this prosper your neighbor theme working. It really is a great theme to have. And you know, my channel focuses on inner peace and peace between people and groups and countries. So it seems to me that helping others would create a more peaceful society. I wonder what you think about that.
I definitely think so. I mean, how can you not have peace? How could you have peace? I mean, if you know that someone's hurting, if you know that someone's hungry, if you know that there's an animal that needs help, just, just love people. And my peace, how I get peace, is when I know that I'm doing the right thing. See, we don't have peace when we know deep down in our soul that we're not doing it for the right reason. Our motivations are not correct. We're stingy maybe, or we think, oh, I only have $10. Why should I give them 5? See, that's really not the way God wants us to work. And peace comes when you just know that you're doing the right thing as the best as you can. Now, sometimes we make mistakes, but
Hmm.
overall, it's that peace. You'll know it. You'll sleep at night.
That's powerful. So, what advice would you have for somebody who wants to start helping other people, but maybe they're shy or they're not well connected in their community, what would you tell them to do?
I would find the local community group, like the senior center, or we have something called the Center of Hope where they distribute groceries and clothes and they teach classes to people that need schooling or need to know how to run a computer, even work their telephone. They help people and they lift them up, not just give them handouts. So that's what I would like to people to start doing is go to a local church and see what needs to be done there. Go to the animal shelter. But you really have to just take the plunge because I understand I've been shy. I am at some times. Mostly I'm not, but I have been. And you have to make it just, I'm going to go do it. And once you do that the first time, then it's easier over and over again. So, like, the chamber didn't have a new member reception. So I was very bold because we were only open a few weeks. And I said, you don't have a new chamber, reception? I go, well, I'll start one. I'll host it at Baker's Ribs. So therefore, we've been hosting this event for 24 years. And it's because I was bold enough to ask, hey, if you don't have one, I can create one. That's what we have to do. We have to be bold sometimes, and we have to do things afraid. And I'm afraid to do this pageant. It's coming up Saturday, July 27th. I'm afraid, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm just going to try to get my job done and do it well.
Which title are you competing for?
Ms. Achievement World.
Wow. That's a very impressive title. Well, I have my fingers crossed. I hope you'll get it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you so much for talking to the viewers that we have at World Peace Channel 1. And I think you've given us all some great advice for peace.
Remember, when you're successful, you're peaceful. That's the most thing. That's how you define success is through your peace.
That's a very excellent message to end with. Thank you so
Well,
much.
I want to say thank you so much for having me, and I've enjoyed every minute of this interview. Thank you.
No problem. It's our pleasure.